And welcome everyone to episode 16 of the Dual Boot Diaries, the weekly podcast where two longtime Windows users try to learn to use Linux daily. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Patrick Murray.
And I'm Will Smith. We're not Linux experts. Each week we go through our experiences using Linux daily, with the idea being that the whole show culminates in us going from a dual boot lifestyle to a single boot lifestyle, shunning either Windows or Linux from our computer so we can move on with our lives.
Yeah, and move on with our lives. We are doing, just kidding. This is not the end. This is not the end episode. I wanted to give everyone just a little like, oh my goodness, is it? No, we're still deep in it, man. Yeah. I tell you what, I actually just got back fresh off of a plane last night from New York City.
Boy, are your arms tired.
A really tiny little trip. I've got some notes for that, but
you took a big laptop on that tiny little trip.
I did, yeah. I'm fully switched over to this Asus laptop. So.
How'd it go?
Should I dive into it?
Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Well, I'll tell you. I have one thing that I ran into, and it was a warm backpack.
Oh no.
You know,
did you take the Xbox ROG Ally Xbox X handheld?
No. This is from my Asus laptop running Fedora, and I just closed it up, put it in my bag. I put it in my carry-on, and then I checked it at the front desk because I was going to go do a couple errands before I went to the airport, and then I came back and was going to like switch out my jacket because I didn't need the heavy jacket anymore. And all of a sudden I was like, oh wow, why is my luggage so warm? It is so hot in here. No. And I pulled up the laptop and I was like, oh no, this is warm. So to be fair, I don't like, we always equate this with a Windows problem, like sleep.
It's always a Windows problem. Yeah, clearly.
Well, I don't know what happened here. Because and I think part of it is something that I did that I'll talk about later. But no, I was running Fedora. I had put Fedora to sleep. I had closed the lid and I opened it up, and Fedora was like ready and waiting for me.
Wait, hold on. Did you close the lid to put it to sleep, or did you put it to sleep and then close the lid?
I closed the lid.
Yeah, that should be fine.
For the most part, it works. Yeah,
been pretty reliable on all of my laptops so far.
So that was a weird like, oh no, is this like a sleep wake thing on laptops? And this whole time we thought it was a Windows thing. I don't know. It's weird.
I'm sorry that the computer hurt you, Adam.
Yeah. But once again, I think I might have done something. That I'll talk about later that maybe would have done it. But
is this a guardrail situation? Is this a situation where like Windows wouldn't have let you do something stupid that jacks up sleep and resume on your computer? Or is this
this is something hardware related?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, like a mouse jiggler.
Anyway, the other weird thing, and I got to bring this up because it tripped me out real bad, was that I was taking this laptop and I was sitting at the desk in the hotel room doing some work, and I have a half and half window. I like to have half the window be Slack and the other half be Discord. And on the right side is Discord. And I kept getting pop-ups on Discord being like, oh, hey, we detected a new audio device. Do you want to connect to Megan's MacBook? And I was like, wait, what? Why would I want to do that? That doesn't make any sense. Just dismiss. And then like literally every minute it was popping up with a new device that like somebody else on the hotel Wi-Fi, it was like detecting. And I was like, well, that's weird. And I went into Fedora, into the settings, and like in the audio device list, I could see all these audio devices that I'm assuming are people like either near me in proximity, or because I was on the hotel Wi-Fi, that I was just like, trip me out. This was not a good thing. And
you got to get a firewall and a VPN there, dude. That's not good.
I just, number one, like, is that expected behavior?
Were you raw dogging the internet there? Is that what happened? You're just out there just free roam, no protection between you and the rest of the world?
I mean, I guess I wasn't using a VPN if that's what you're asking, but like I've never had that before. And
You should. Okay. So
Even in my other installs, because I've gone on other trips and I've connected to public Wi-Fi in other ways. I've never had it pop up like this before.
Does Fedora ask you? Well, I mean, this is probably. Are you using KDE or using GNOME?
GNOME.
So does GNOME ask you if it's a public or private network when you connect to it?
It does not ask me, but I did. If you go into the settings, like all networks, you can, and you select the network that you're connected to. There is a check mark to say make available to other users, which I had unchecked. So I was okay.
That's just make that login, that Wi-Fi login, available to other users on that same machine, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I assumed it was more like, oh, hey, don't be visible on the network, kind of like Windows. Oh, okay.
No, I think that's saying, hey, share this password in a way that other users can access it.
I mean, by default, it's checked on.
I know.
Be good. So anyway, yeah, and I mean, I'm scrolling through the stuff right there, and I'm not seeing any other. Yeah, everything else is pretty standard. So I don't see. Yeah, so that was weird.
So when I went to Phoenix, I was still running. I think I was still running Cache with GNOME, and I didn't have that happen on that network. Now, part of it is their network's not configured right, because hotel network, they should segment each user so that you're on your own like VLAN. You can't access other people's computers, right? Mm-hmm. Now, my real question is, when it said, hey, do you want to play audio on Megan's MacBook? Did you play audio on Megan's MacBook?
No, I did not. I did.
Oh, come on.
Each time Discord would pop up, like, and this is before I went into the settings, Discord would pop up a little notification like, oh, hey, we noticed there's a new audio device. Do you want to stream to that? In Discord, it can say, hey, never remind me to do that again. So I tried to do it for a while, and then that's why I was like, okay, I keep getting these notifications. There's got to be something wrong. I'm actually gonna insert a little photo. I did take a screenshot of it to show people, but yeah, it was weird, dude.
Because the problem is, what's happening there is the system is using Bonjour to find unlocked AirPlay endpoints on your network, right? Which means every MacBook that's connected to that network is going to have unshared or open share endpoints for audio. So those show up as system outputs. And then Discord's just saying, oh, hey, there's a new system output. It's just like you plugged in a new monitor or gamepad or something.
I mean, I wouldn't have noticed it unless Discord was open, because Discord does that stupid notification. And then, sure enough, like I said, when I went into the settings. So I don't know if anyone knows exactly what the hell, why the hell, and how the hell to stop that in the future. Because I guess the answer is a VPN.
Or we need to figure out firewall, right? Like you need a firewall on that machine when you're not connected to like one of the 3 known networks that you use, right?
Yeah, true. So,
and probably even on those, if I'm being real. Well, that's fun.
Yeah, I feel like I had looked up some videos on YouTube, and like people were like, "Oh, hey, firewall is on by default, but it's not configured or something." I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. So useless then.
Yeah, good job, Fedora.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what else? What else you got?
So the other thing too, this is just another little side note before I get to the main the main course, because I got something big to discuss here.
I see. There's 2 bullet points with nothing under them, and then 1 bullet point with like 8 things under it. So yeah, let's go.
Yeah. I think it was yesterday of the time of the recording. I was sitting there, and in Discord, somebody had mentioned like, hey, in our Linux channel, if you want to go hang out with fellow Linux users, there's a link down in the description to our Discord, the Full Nerd Discord. And somebody was like, hey, my RAM usage seems really high. And then somebody had got in, and I should have pulled what they said, but they were like, oh, hey, I'm running, I don't remember, Arch, with whatever, and I'm at like 2 gig usage or something, like just with, a couple tabs open on a browser and a couple other things. And I was like, 2 gigs? How do you get that? What? And I looked at my usage, and my usage was like super high compared to everyone else. And I was like, dang,
super high. Like,
I should have taken a a picture of the conversation, but I think at the time it was like 14 gigs, and I had Chrome open with 10 tabs, but I do have the sleep feature on to like take tabs out if it's not being actively used. I had Slack and I had Discord. And then I had something else the terminal window is open and Mission Center.
And
so
Slack,
I did start to like turn each one off to see, but even with everything shut down and I was just sitting there at a desktop with nothing open, I was still at like 7 gigs, if I remember correctly.
So I'm at 11.
That seems high.
I'm at 11 with, the thing that kills me is I have 3 Electron apps running. So
yeah, somebody did mention they're like, oh yeah, it's probably Discord like running in Electron.
Yeah, Slack is a gig. Bitfocus Companion is almost 2 gigs. That's the thing that drives the Steam Deck. That's not an Electron app, but it's still hefty. And then Firefox is 5 gigs for me of the 11 that I have in use right now.
Yeah.
But I also just rebooted the computer because we were recording in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I still like, I guess I'm running under the assumption I've heard people say time and time again that, oh yeah, Linux uses less RAM overall compared to Windows, and it has better battery life compared to Windows. But both of those have not fully been true in my experience. Like, yeah, sure, it's probably better, but not like demonstrably like, oh wow, oh my goodness, like this is so much better than Windows. Like I haven't noticed that on either of those fronts.
Yeah, for me, battery life on a laptop these days is, does it make it through the day without me having to plug it in if I come into work charged? And like, I haven't had any problems with Linux or Windows on a laptop on that in a pretty long time. I haven't used any of the laptops I've used for Linux long enough with Windows to have a sense of how the battery life was on them is the bigger problem, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just curious.
But yeah, look, here's the thing. You can get into Systemd and start turning stuff off. All that stuff you don't need. Do you really need that little thing on your way bar that tells you how much CPU utilization and what the temperature of the CPU is and how much RAM is currently being used? No, just kill that.
I did install one of those GNOME extensions. I wish it actually had more data. It only shows you, like a couple data points. I need more data points in my
inching toward Nix is what I'm hearing.
Well, listen, I've got big news.
Yeah, big news.
I've got big news. My journey to figure out a VM for my working solution has been solved. I've done it.
That was easy.
It was that easy. All it took was just some time and a lot of headache and a lot of help.
Now, did you write down how you did it? That's the first question.
So if you're no, listen, I did. Okay. Not only that, this was a long conversation in Discord, multiple days. People were helping me left and right, trying to figure stuff out. And when I finally got it to work, not only did I make sure I was writing it down along the way and like rechecking and checking my steps, after we like had a big celebratory like round of applause, I said, I'm so glad I got it to work. But guys, the only way I know for sure if it's going to work is that if I re-image this laptop right now. So not only did I document everything, I re-imaged Fedora and didn't do any of the normal setup process. I went straight to trying to configure for the VM and how I want it, and I got it to work. So I have it down. I've reinstalled from fresh, and it worked.
Zero principles. Yeah.
I did. Principles. I did do it. I actually did use it a little bit when I was on my trip. And I want to go over the steps. I don't want to get too in depth here. This isn't necessarily going to be a how-to, and I wonder how many people this actually would apply to. So like, I don't know if people feel like this might be helpful. Maybe I can make a tutorial video,
make a short video,
of like, hey, here's how I set it up. Maybe it's something you should look into. Maybe it's something not. But anyway, so the very first step is to essentially block the NVIDIA drivers from loading.
Is that a Systemd thing?
Let me bring up my actual notes.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Yeah, pop quiz. Wow. Okay. Why is my Notion being weird? Oh, there it is. Adam notes. Okay. All right. So it's editing a grub file to allow for VFIO to take hold of the NVIDIA GPU, but then also blacklist the default GPU, NVIDIA GPU, which is Novu. Yeah.
No view.
Yeah. So it's a mod probe.blacklist equals, no view.
I was able to say that until you said it. Now I can't do it. I have no view. No. Nouveau is how you say that.
So essentially all it is adding a line to grub, and then remaking the grub
redoing the MK config thing.
Yeah, exactly. So and then rebooting, like that's it. So essentially
that was it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did a bunch of different things to be like, oh, you need to blacklist, you need to do this and that, but actually this just worked. And I did it by then going in, like once I rebooted, I go into the terminal and then do ls mod pipe grep nouveau to see like what's running on that. And so then it's like, oh, okay, it worked. And then I went ahead and installed the VM using the sudo dnf install @ virtualization package of stuff. So it installs like a virtual machine manager. That's kind of where I set it up. I went in there and I did it first with the splice or whatever, the VirtIO. So essentially doing it still on the iGPU. And then once I get into Windows, but I still passed through the GPU into Windows. Windows saw it. I loaded the drivers. Everything's good. At that point, so there was a weird split fork, because people were like, hey, listen, without the virtual IO, you can't display it back on your screen. So what a lot of people do, or at least some people in the Discord told me, is that they just plug it into an external monitor, because that GPU is still active, but it needs somewhere to send it to. So they plug in an external monitor, and then they have the main monitor be Windows, right? And I was like, I kind of want to be able to have it shown on my screen. Yeah. And so they're like, okay, so I got some recommendations. One of them was to actually have a fake driver loaded, I'm sorry, it's like a fake window.
Yeah.
Like essentially to mount a fake monitor and say, hey, I did that. It was cool, but performance still wasn't I was
what you wanted.
Yeah. So the other thing people recommended were these HDMI dummy plugs.
Yeah, you plug it. You use these for headless servers a lot too.
Yeah, so I got a pack of them, and I was sure to make sure I got 4K ones, because I realized later. Oh, when I was looking, I was like, oh wow, there's 1080p ones. Oh, I don't want that. I want to make sure it tells the system it's a 4K monitor. And so I bought a pack of those. I actually bought a couple different packs of them just to make sure it worked right. And then yeah, you stick it in, and the GPU just think that it's active. And then it's like, okay, so then how do I get into the system? Or how do I see the system? And somebody had recommended, there's obviously it's Linux. There's 1,000 different ways to do it. That virtualization package actually does come with a remote viewer app. I wasn't able to get it configured, so that's probably the easiest way. But the second easiest way for me, somebody was like, hey, why don't you install Sunshine and Moonlight? And I was like, oh, okay, let's try that out. I've actually never used it, and you talk about it all the time.
It's great.
And so I configured it, and luckily, because I'm not trying to game on it, I don't have to worry about the intricacies of making sure that it's VSync and high refresh rate and passing through controllers and inputs correctly and stuff like that. All I need to do is just see my desktop and it just works.
Yeah.
It's 3D accelerated. It's running on that 5070. I have it up on a separate workspace, and it just feels like bare metal, and it's awesome.
So you're doing the same thing that you do with not Winboat, but one of the other ones where you basically run it in a headless environment and then connect to it with VNC, but you're just using Sunshine and Moonlight. So Moonlight's running on the server, or Sunshine's running on the server on the Windows side, and Moonlight is running on the Linux side. And it just, wow, that's amazing. So you can run in a window and everything?
So, well, I mean, actually I have it, or by default, I have it launch Moonlight as a full screen.
Oh, so on a virtual desktop or something? Okay.
Well, I just go to another desktop and be like, okay, so this desktop is Fedora, this desktop is Windows, and I'm able to slide back and forth. The only thing that I have hard time, or I need to figure out, I'm sure there's a way to do it, but it's limited in the like keyboard commands I can send. Like if I hit the Windows key on this laptop, it still shows me the Fedora expose. It doesn't actually register.
Oh, it doesn't pass through
in Moonlight. Yeah, I know there's got to be a way to set it up. It's not a huge deal either way. Like for me, it was all about performance. I want to say Moonlight intentionally blocks the Windows key, so you don't do that when you're playing a game, because having the Windows key go through when you're playing a game is generally negative. True.
Yeah.
So I mean, here's the thing. Once again, it's working for me right now, and like in the limited time that I've had with it so far, I'm like, okay, I think this can work for me for CES. And I know this is a very specific use case to like my workflow and my needs kind of thing.
But that's kind of how this works, right? Is like you're doing, everybody who does this has to figure out their workflow first.
True. Yeah. And so like as of right now, I'm feeling damn good. And like I said, I was able to reinstall Fedora and go through my steps and have it work again without, just to completely solidify and say, hey, it's actually working. And I took notes along the way the whole time of like, okay, do this, then do this, and then do this kind of thing. And I was like, dang, I felt damn good.
You have 60 steps there, just to be clear. It is good job documenting, Adam.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. And these are just quick notes. I could actually polish these up and, So like I said, if anyone wants to see how I did it and they think they could use this, I mean, the thing is that like, because I'm blocking the driver and passing the GPU through, I don't know how easy it is to be like, oh, hey, you know what? I actually want to use this NVIDIA GPU on the laptop or in Fedora. I think I would have to like go in, take that line out.
So what you would do is make two, you'd add an additional grub line. So you'd have one that gives the GPU to Linux and one that gives it to the pass through, and you just choose when you boot which one you want, right? Based on which one you run.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like, I don't need the 5070 in Fedora. I mean, like for what I do, like I'm not gaming on this laptop. This is just a work laptop, and like I just need to have dedicated like power to a virtual machine. I mean, even the 5070 is overkill. It's just what I have. Like, I mean, I probably could do it inverse. I did think about like, oh, you know what, maybe I dedicate the IGP to Windows and then have the 5070 in Fedora, but I bet that would eat battery life more because I'm not running the virtual desktop all the time.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And so far, like in Fedora, I'm able to do everything I need to in Fedora just on the iGPU. So
that's rad.
Yeah.
Sounds really good, man. Nice job. Congratulations.
Listen, I could not have done this without the help of the people at Discord, because they were like every time someone would be like, oh yeah, just do this. I'd be like, hey, sorry, can you I literally need you to hold my hand and tell me exactly what you mean by just do this. But yeah, we had a good celebratory dance. Like I feel good about it. I hope everyone on who helped me out feels good about it. But yeah, it was interesting. And actually I had a comment from somebody who they, if I can find it real quick, somebody was like, hey man, Adam is like really going straight to hard mode with VM stuff. Like that's intense for a new user. And I was like, I guess I just assume like because everyone talks about VMs all the time that it just should be easy. I think the harder part is that like there are a million different ways to do this. And because my use case is so specific in how I want to use it, like, but we got there.
This is one of the things I find about Linux now, 4 months into this. there being so many ways to do everything is sometimes really, really good, but sometimes it's really frustrating and hard because it's nice when there's just one way to do things sometimes, right? Like, it doesn't always have to be, everything doesn't have to be a choice. It is, but it doesn't have to be. And yeah, this was one of those ones where it'd be nice if you could just download a package. Like, for example, I realized the other day that there were two ways to install Resolve on Cache. One of them is to follow the instructions on the Resolve site, which seemed involved in quite a bit. And the other one was just to install the DaVinci Resolve package from my package manager, which installed 200 other dependencies. Now, I did that yesterday, and I've been afraid to try to fire it up because I got kind of busy yesterday afternoon, so I didn't start it then. And I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work. I have no idea if it's going to work. I assume it should, but who knows? It's impossible to say. I guess I'll report back next week on that one. This is a completely underwhelming, unsatisfying story. I apologize.
Yeah. Wow. But, no, I mean, so like, I am curious. I mean, every step along the way, people were like, oh, hey, you shouldn't be using virtual machine manager or whatever. You should try this. This is way more easier. I saw so many people debating about GNOME boxes or whatever. Like there is in Fedora, there's already a VM manager called Boxes that and I kept seeing so many people debate like, oh yeah, no, Boxes is easy. You should just do this. And then so many people being like, no, Boxes is crap. You shouldn't be using that. So like, I was like, all right, whatever. I mean, at least I got it to work here. And I'm sure there is a better way to do it. I want to show you too. And
I want to see
maybe you
Tuesday.
have some ideas on like, oh, you know what, actually Sunshine and Moonlight, like, I understand Sunshine and Moonlight is mainly for gaming, right? Like,
but it's just a VNC client that's tuned for games. Like, that's all it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like I said, I'm sure there's something that might even just be easier. And
lowercase virtual network computer, lowercase, not VNC, the standard. I think it's its own thing at this point. But it's one of those things that like, it's funny. I've been, I dropped Adobe. We talked about that a little bit last week. I've started learning Reaper, and reading the documentation and the tips and all the guides and all that stuff for Reaper. It's really hard when you have inherent knowledge of how a piece of software works to share how you do things without assuming a base level of knowledge that's probably much higher than somebody coming in completely raw. You know what I mean? So like there's this initial hump that you get over where you have to understand the metaphor of the application. And then once you understand that, then everything is kind of downhill from there. But getting over that initial hump is a big part of the hard part of all this stuff. So like, I think a lot of these conversations about what's the right way to do stuff or what's the best way to do this is just hey, the person who's recommending this is more familiar with this one than the other one. And not necessarily that there's any, like, often there's not a significant technical advantage or like there's no, the reason is, oh, I know this one better, so it seems easier to me because I understand how it works at a core level versus this one's a little bit of a different metaphor. And I don't, my brain is not as comfortable with that one. So yeah, like I think whatever you're using and whatever works for you is the right answer, is the TLDR of what I'm trying to say here.
Well, and honestly, the other reason why I was okay with the recommendation of Sunshine and Moonlight is because I know you use it. And I was like, if I have a question, I mean, it's actually pretty straightforward once I like dug into it. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty easy to set up, especially if I'm not trying to, once again, fine tune and anything like that.
And running it on the same machine too simplifies things, it turns out. Or,
yeah. Because all I had to do was be like, oh, hey, what's the IP address of, that's dedicated to Windows, point it to that. The only other thing is that I did install Moonlight through DNF, I believe, or maybe it was.
Did you do a Flatpak?
I can't remember. Now I can't remember, but when I look at it in the list, the software list, it says that version of Moonlight is like depreciated or whatever. And I was like, oh,
deprecated.
Deprecated. Yeah. So I don't know what that means, or if it really matters. I don't know.
If it's working,
if it's working, fine. It's working. Yeah. But yeah, so
okay, that was good.
Listen,
man.
I mean,
we're
with the, time's running out. like this is definitely like, okay, I do or die for getting ready for CES. You know, we've got so much planning going on already, and like I was hoping that this trip that I was just on would be like a good like small slice of, you know, like work from CS, but it actually ended up not being that pressure sensitive. So like I didn't really get to like put it to the test. So like I think even though I feel like I have a good setup going, I also am a little worried that you know, once like I'm not going to have like a real stress test before I
Are you going to make a Windows SSD to take with you?
I already have, so I have, this has 2 drives on the laptop, so there is a Windows drive. So like if I can't get any of this stuff to work, all right, whatever, I'm
just switch over. So you have the emergency punt basically.
Very much, yeah, very much. So yeah, I'm ready. It's good. I will say the other thing I did do, interesting enough, in the virtual machine, I brought up Task Manager in Windows, and it was reporting that the CPU is only running at 2 gigahertz. Okay. And I was like, that seems really low. And I asked some people on Discord, and they were like, oh no, the Task Manager like actually isn't showing the
it's
proper,
not going to be right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to show the proper usage. And I was like, okay, but how do I know? And then I was like, oh, duh, I know how to benchmark. So I actually ran some benchmarks, CPU based benchmarks in the VM just to see. And it was, I think it was like 7% off of, like, I think I did Geekbench first and then I did something else. And it was about 7% off of the same exact score I got on Fedora Native, which is still lower, but it's not that bad. That's a fine haircut for the convenience of running the OS in the virtual, virtualized. Yeah, and the only reason why I cared, and some people were like, "Why are you caring about this so much?" is because that Photoshop is actually pretty CPU dependent. Like I need the GPU in there for sure, and I got that figured up. But like it is like high single core clock speeds in Photoshop definitely matter for like responsiveness and feel. And so I was like, oh, if this is running at 2 gigahertz, I'm probably gonna have a bad Photoshop experience.
Did you run Cinebench?
Well, no, because there's no Cinebench equivalent on, like I can't run a native on Linux. So I ran Geekbench and there was another CPU test that works on both, and I can't remember exactly.
I'd be curious about your Windows to Windows numbers, or you like your Photoshop script numbers, like your Puget bench in Windows on the VM versus on the raw metal.
Oh, you're right. I guess I could just boot over into into the actual. Yeah, I mean,
it's a little unfair because you're giving it fewer cores and less RAM, I guess.
I mean, I'm giving it, well, because luckily, I mean, the CPU has, what is it? It's 16 core, 32 thread. So I'm giving 8 core, 16 thread to both Fedora and Windows. The only thing where I started to feel it that got me a little worried is that this laptop only has soldered on 32 gigs of RAM. And so I gave 16 to Fedora and 16 to Windows. And I was starting to bump up a little bit on Windows, but if Windows isn't running everything that I need, like
run your browser and stuff in Linux and tab over, don't run it in the VM, right?
Yeah, so like I think it should be fine, but I definitely have run into issues with 32 gig laptops just running Windows natively at trade shows. Like 64, like it's definitely been like, oh, if I can get 64, it'd be nice.
Look, no one can afford 64 gigs of RAM. That's impossible.
Not in this economy.
Yeah,
and it's not even a joke anymore.
No, it's bad.
It's true. Yeah,
things is bad.
Anyway, we don't need to go to that. Well, let's go over to you. Are things bad over into your neck of the woods?
So I've done some experimentation with other distros, which we'll get to. But I want to talk first about my desktop.
Hopping.
Well, I have the futzing laptop, and I finished futzing with Cosmic, so I figured I'd futz with something else. But I want to start with Windows, because this is the Dual Boot Diaries, and my desktop PC dual boots between Windows and Linux, and I've had some trials and travails with that, as we've documented here. But the most recent one...
Real quick, what's the percentage split you'd say that you're in Windows versus
probably
Linux?
70-30 Linux these days.
Oh, okay.
It depends on the day, because sometimes I do stuff like there's some stuff that I do like for example, if I'm doing some testing for PCWorld, often that has to be in Windows, obviously. But then there's also a fair amount of just like, but if I'm just working, let me put it this way, Grub defaults to booting cache. Mm-hmm. So like if I hit the power button on the computer and walk away and make coffee and come back, it's going to be at the cache login. Which is actually has occasionally been a problem. So the big issue I'm having right now is that Windows doesn't come back from suspense, and I don't understand why. Hibernate's off, fast boot's off. Both of those are turned off in the Hibernate's turned off in Windows, fast boot is turned off in the BIOS. And what happens is the computer goes to sleep. I come back, I hit the keyboard, it wakes up, the monitors wake up, but nothing ever shows up on them. And then it just kind of stalls and it doesn't boot into Windows. I at first thought it was a Hibernate that was failing. So it was a recover from Hibernate was failing, which would do kind of the same thing. You see a little bit of BIOS splash and then it goes in and the grub can interfere with that, but I was smart and I had turned off Hibernate before I got to this point. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit at a loss here because it's hard to search for. I think it's probably a Grub problem or like the video card's not getting a handoff from the UEFI or something like that. But I don't know exactly what the problem is. I'd love suggestions if people have them.
Wait, but this sounds kind of similar to the issue you had where
yeah.
Right?
Like where I couldn't boot until where Linux wouldn't resume from suspend.
Yeah.
So like I said, I wonder if Grub is still involved with the resume from suspend in a way that I don't fully understand. I'm sure that there's a million people screaming at their radios right now, and I apologize, but I have done fairly extensive Googling and have not found anything that seems remotely close to what could be happening. And most of the stuff is from like 2 years ago when there was a kernel bug that was preventing something from. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I mean, last time you talked about this, I felt like there was enough chatter of people saying that this is an NVIDIA issue.
But that was on the Linux side.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Theoretically, the NVIDIA drivers on Windows should be pretty solid.
Huh. Yeah.
So I fixed it on the Linux side by adding a Grub flag, similar to what you did, but instead of turning it on, I said, "Hey, pass the video RAM over," basically, and then it restored on the Linux side. I mean, in reality, as little as I'm using Windows, I should probably just turn off suspend and not worry about it. But it does still feel bad when I like walk away from the computer for 20 minutes and forget to come back, and I come back and it's like burning full speed over here.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about your power usage.
Yeah, the power cost is expensive. If I lived in Oregon, it wouldn't be as much of an issue. And
in Windows, you have it set to, because what is it? It's suspend or sleep.
Hybrid sleep. Hybrid sleep is turned off. Yeah. Hibernate's off. Okay. Like the timer that says hibernate after X period of time is never. And I should make sure. I wonder if the hybrid sleep thing is on. I didn't think about that. That one I think I turned off, but I'm not 100%. So I should confirm that. Because that could do it too. Anyway, like this is a minor issue. The side effect of that though is that I have to hard shut down Windows when it gets in that state, and then it flags all of the NTFS drives as dirty, which means that they get the hey, do you need a check disk when they boot up, and it looks at them, it's like, oh, no, you're good. And then
Windows is just like, hey, I gotta check this. Yeah. Hold on, this doesn't look right. Oh,
yeah. Usually it's a no pass. It just happens when there's something like in write cache or something that's not written down to the disk. Mm-hmm. But the problem is when Linux boots up and it detects an NTFS volume that's dirty, it doesn't know how to fix that by default. So dirty. Yeah, so it's like, hey man, I'm going to mount this one read only. And let me tell you what Steam loves. Steam loves having all of your games on a read only partition. Because when you open Steam, it's like, oh yeah, this is cool, I know how to do this, and then all the updates fail, and then when you try to launch a game, it's like, yo, I can't do that. That's bad. Something's jacked up, and it gives you a really scary message, and then you dig into it, and you're like, oh, it's just because I didn't do a clean shutdown on Windows. But also, I learned that you can fix that with a tool called NTFS Fix, where you do NTFS Fix space -D and then the path to the partition, and it'll clear the dirty flag. It doesn't actually fix any underlying problems, but it will clear the dirty flag. So
you have to do that carefully once you're already logged into Linux.
Yeah. So the question is, do you run that and take the risk that there's actually nothing wrong with the partition, which is probably fair? Or alternately, do you reboot into Windows, let it boot up and clear the flag, and then reboot again into Linux? And yeah, anyway, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
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 I'm increasingly of the, hey, maybe I should have a Linux partition or Linux drive and a Windows drive and just change them in the UEFI when I want to change over.
God, I keep forgetting you have it on the same drive. Come on, man.
Well, no. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're on the same drive or not because UEFI, none of that matters. But the point is, I'm letting Grub boot Windows, which is it. Look, when Windows does an update and it's like, oh yeah, we're going to reboot like 6 times in this update. You have to sit there and watch it now. You can't just walk away and do nothing because it boots into cache and then things get weird and like it's not. Maybe I should just make Windows the default, or maybe I should make it so it doesn't. What I should probably do is set it so it doesn't automatically boot into anything, and I have to choose because the boot times are fast.
Yeah,
especially once you get to Grub.
Yeah, I think I lengthened my Grub, like waiting for input kind of thing, but yeah.
So I did that. That's part of it. We just had a problem starting this show actually that I don't understand. This is
weird.
Yeah. So we run a tool called Riverside, which is like a professional podcasting / talk show / whatever tool. It's a talking head video. It's like Zoom for podcasters, basically.
And it's all web based. You log in. You create a studio. You invite guests in, and you don't have to record anything local, which is why we like using it. And essentially, it gets direct access. You have to allow it, but it gets direct access to your video and your microphone. And while we're recording this whole time, it is just immediately throwing it up to the cloud. And then afterward, I can be like, hey, Alex, we're done recording. And then he'll go download those files and edit them. So it's a really nice tool.
Shout out to Alex also.
Yeah. Shout out to Alex.
But so the thing that happened though, is I loaded up Chromium, which it doesn't like Firefox Riverside. It's like, hey, this browser is unsupported. You should consider getting something that is. So I loaded up Chromium, and my preview window looked great. I was able to see myself. I'm lovely and lovable as ever. But you were replaced by a giant green blocky mess. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, hey, Adam, something's jacked up with your camera. You're like, no, it looks fine to me.
You actually have a photo of it. I'll put it over on the overlay here.
Yeah. I shared it. So we both reconnected. No change. I checked other video playback to make sure it was working, like YouTube and Twitch and all that stuff was working fine in the same browser.
And it looked fine on my end too. Like I reconnected my camera. Like I actually even did a little quick recording and I looked fine. But we couldn't. It would have been hard to do the episode where we couldn't just sit and look at each other. I mean, I guess we could have. But I like looking at your face, Will.
You end up interrupting each other a lot when you can't see each other's faces. It turns out this is why video calls are, even if we didn't do a video version of the podcast, we would still do a video call for recording. Anyway, so I fixed it by opening Chrome flags and just turning off 3D acceleration, hardware acceleration for video decode. And that fixed the problem. So I assume that somewhere in there's something in the chain of all the hardware accelerated video encode stuff that got jacked up in a recent cache update. And at some point, I'll look at the update list. Actually, I'll do that right now and see if there's anything that looks obvious. Yeah, there's a new version of Chromium in my updates for today. So that's probably the problem. Anyway, I thought it was worth reporting.
Rolling.
I had a problem after doing that update where the OBS start virtual camera button was missing when I was trying to do a conference call. And for folks who don't know this, the virtual camera in OBS is a thing you can use to basically create a camera. So you can take an OBS scene or an OBS input and make it a camera for other applications. So you can do things like put overlays on or, wave your camera around or whatever. Right. Now, I've never had this problem before. I've never seen this problem before. And of course, I noticed it when I had like 5 minutes before I was getting ready to get on a kind of important call. So I just rebooted into Windows. And then when I came back into Linux, it was fine. And it turns out it happened because some of the tools that OBS uses to make that happen got updated as part of an update. But I didn't get the, hey, you should consider rebooting flag from cache because it hadn't updated like kernel or anything big. So Had I rebooted, it would have been totally fine. I didn't reboot, and it was there. So that was a weird one, and now I know to look for that. And
speaking real quick, speaking of OBS, you talked about something last week, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but that you weren't able to get.
I couldn't connect to Nextlander.
No, it was something about it was something about not allowing like virtual inputs somewhere or something like that.
Getting the virtual camera to not require root access. Was that
That's
it?
what it was. Yeah. So I guess there's plenty of people who commented saying that there's this thing called a flat seal. Like supposedly flat seal will do the thing that you want to do.
Oh, nice. Okay.
You can allow direct hardware access for Flatpak apps with flat seal.
Oh, but so OBS isn't a Flatpak app. OBS is installed natively though. So I don't think that's flat seal. I added that back to my homework. I forgot. I was trying to figure that out. I think I need to add it to some ring or something is my guess. But anyway. Also
there was another comment saying OBS permissions thing is a Wayland thing, a feature, not a bug. To fix it, use X11. No.
It's very helpful. Thank you, as always. Anyway. Okay, so then I played a bunch of games this week on Linux. God of War Ragnarok runs great, looks really good, fantastic, unsurprising. Arc Raiders runs really good. If you Alt-Tab while you're in the loading screen, it crashes every single time. Other than that, it's great. I don't know. That's it.
Okay.
It's a real specific bug, and like three other people said the same thing because I did it while I was streaming the other day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you can't Alt-Tab while you're playing." And I was like, "Why not?" And they're like, "It crashes every time." I was like, "Oh,
is that even in Windows?"
No, only in Proton.
Oh,
only on Linux. Yeah,
that is weird. Why would it do that? Only in the loading screen.
Who knows? And then I played a game called Little Rocket Lab, which is like an indie kind of. Imagine Stardew Valley met Factorio. It's a delightful little like top down kind of like factory building game where you also have to go around and manage relationships with people and have coffee. And I assume you can get there's a romance option somewhere down the line. So it's pretty fun, quite cute.
Oh, that's cute.
And then I played more Star Wars Outlaws, which I got to a point where it started crashing every single time on Linux. And the way I fixed that was by doing the quest that I had to do on the planet that I was on and then going to another planet and booting back into Linux. So I couldn't figure out how to fix it on the Linux side. I just switched over to Windows to finish. So, my Star Wars Outlaws quest might finally be over. My time is served.
Right.
And then the big thing I did last week, I said, I want to get my config files for Neri into GitHub in a way that I can just share them between the two computers so that all of my keyboard shortcuts are the same. And
I did see a lot of people talk about this.
You made disparaging comments about how I was making things difficult and this seemed like too much work. And a bunch of people were like, no, that's a super smart way to do this. Will's really a genius. You should encourage him on this behavior and not say things like you're making this hard.
I don't know if they said that.
But I also got a bunch of people that said, hey, Will, there's this thing called NixOS that you would really, really like. And I had the futzing laptop and I just, I had Cache with Cosmic on it. And I was like, well, it's probably time for a clean start over here. I've been futzing a lot here. And I futzed my way all the way through to NixOS. So Nix, for folks who don't know, Nix is a package manager. It's been around for a really long time. And the basic, I'm going to mess this up and I apologize in advance, so please don't at me. The gist is that Nix builds packages where builds applications where the dependencies are packaged in. So like instead of on a traditional Linux machine where it'll be like, oh, this requires GTK 3.6.12 and it'll put GTK 3.6.12 on the system, Nix will build that into the application package that it uses. NixOS takes that package manager idea and basically lets you build the entirety of your system from a text file, kind of like the Neri config file, but it's for everything, including like what runs in systemd and all sorts of other stuff. So I installed it on the futzing laptop. It's really cool. I put Cosmic.
Hold on. I got to back up.
Yeah. Hi. Hello.
The first time you installed it, we were in the studio together. Well, and you started messing around with it and you were like, this is junk. That's it. I'm not going to use this. And then later you're like, oh, no. Okay. I see what they're doing here. You know what? Okay. I might like this.
So, okay. So
your first reaction was not excitement.
The complete sequence of events was on Wednesday, we recorded the podcast. I said it'd be nice to do this thing that you then belittled me for. And then, I was sitting there afterwards and I switched the futzing laptop from the Lenovo ThinkPad to the Framework 13 that you're retiring. Mm-hmm. And I was like, maybe I'll put a different OS on here, different distro on here, try something new. And I was looking at what had Cosmic support. So I was like, I'm going to spend some more time with Cosmic. I'm kind of into it. And NixOS was near the top of that list. I was like, oh, I've heard about this. People seem to really like this. The people who like this really like this, which is always a good sign. So I started reading the documentation about how to install it. And it was like, to do Cosmic support, you just do this. And it said something that I had no context for I knew what the words individually meant. But when you put them together, like, oh, you need to edit your config.ndl file with blah, 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 blah. None of that made any sense to me because I was like, how do I edit the config file for the distro that I'm installing when my install is just an ISO file that's, sitting in a Ventoy thing. So I was like, F this, I'm going to go do something else. More productive uses of my time. And then as I was closing tabs, the last tab that I had opened without looking at was like, oh, here's how you do this. And it was like, you can just change. And it was like, hey, if you want to change your desktop environment, all you do is change these 2 lines in the config file. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just install it with whatever. And then I change those 2 lines and it's just going to change. So I did that. I was like, wow, that actually worked. And that's really cool. Because it was KDE Plasma, and then I changed those 2 files, and I saved the file, and I reloaded the thingy, and it was like, and all of a sudden everything like flashed black, and the different pieces went away, and then they came back, and it was Cosmic, and I was like, damn. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. So then I started digging into it, and I got a mostly working machine going there. I used it on the Full Nerd this week. I'm using, like I said, Cosmic with their tiling window manager, no infinite scrolling, which feels like a regression, but whatever, I'm not judging. And it's pretty cool. The neat thing about it is literally the entire state of the machine. If you set it up right using the NixOS way, then you can get the entire state of the machine in that config.ndl file and whatever includes you add to that. So like you can embed hardware specific includes, like if you want to use the same config file on a laptop and a desktop with multiple monitors, you can do the monitor configuration stuff in what's called an include file, which you put a statement and a link to, and then those 2 files get merged together on different machines and yada, yada. It's really, really neat. It's a little futzy for desktop use. So like you have to, it's kind of like running everything in a flat pack. This is an oversimplification. Again, don't write in, please. But you have to, because all the dependencies are packaged and you're determining what access the software has to other stuff in the system. Like if you want, say, Firefox to be able to talk to your webcam, you have to do some specific stuff in the configuration file to say, oh, Firefox is allowed to access these devices, right? And that's probably a bad example because I think Firefox works out of the gate, but Discord is maybe the right example here. So like to get Discord access to the webcam and the microphone, you have to jump through some hoops. And the other thing about it is some of the documentation is really, really uneven. Some of it is really, really incredible. And then some of it assumes you understand everything about how NixOS works and how Nix works to do like really basic stuff. Like how do you install a piece of software? And what's the difference between installing a piece of software as a service versus as an application you can run on the desktop? And it's just really it adds an extra layer of complexity on top of the already complex Linux stuff that I think I probably don't want to deal with at this stage in my Linux journey. But it's cool. Like I think it might end up being the thing that I use on my server instead of Ubuntu, because it has a lot of the benefits of an immutable system and a lot of the benefits of LTS system without the and it has the portability. So like right now, if I want to back up my Ubuntu machine, I have to back up a ton of crap. And with this, I would just back up that config file and then the Docker compose files that I use in the Docker thing, and I'd be good to go, which sounds pretty good. So
is it meant for like headless units like that?
I mean, it's Linux. You can do whatever you want with it, but there's definitely the install options when you're starting are, do you want to put GNOME, do you want to put KDE Plasma, or do you want to do a headless, like a terminal only?
Oh, wow. Like in the installer. Okay.
Yeah. Unlike say Ubuntu, which has like Ubuntu client and Ubuntu server installs where you kind of choose when you download the ISO.
It's a whole different ISO. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Huh.
The neat thing is it did like the equivalent of snapshots with each of those config file changes. So you could jump back to a previous one. Like if I wanted to switch between KDE Plasma and Cosmic, it would be really easy to do in a way that has not really a lot of downstream repercussions. The place that I was really confused is like, if I wanted to do Neri, do I then have to embed my Neri config file in that other config file, the NixOS config file, or do I just reference that from someplace else? And like it's like I don't know what the right answer is, and that kind of stuff especially was really kind of like inadequately documented in my experience. So,
interesting. Yeah. Look at this. You're distro hopping. You love.
I'm
love hopping around.
I'm futz. I love to futz. Yeah, live to futz. So
I was going to ask you, last time you also did talk about the Neri config file, or was it the compositor or something? And some people were saying, hey, there was a new update that actually allowed for that sort of thing.
So that's the part 2 of this conversation. Is after I did all this futzing with NixOS, I got to I read the episode finally came out, and the third thing was like, oh yeah, Neri just added the ability to add includes, so you can absolutely do that. So then that means what I'll do is I'll add the config files to Git, and I'll just have a different include for the 2 different machines, and I'll change that based on the hardware that I'm on. So yeah,
and you can sync Git
really easily. It's Git pull and Git push. Yeah, like it gets built into Linux, I think, at this point. Maybe not, but it's easy to add.
Well, yeah, I don't know anything about Git. I'm still, every time I go to a GitHub page, I'm just like, this is very confusing. Is it public? Like, would your configuration file just be public by default, or
it could
can you have a private Git?
It could. You can absolutely have a private Git. I think you have to pay. I feel like I pay for Git because of other stuff, but also there's nothing really in my Git config files that is private. I don't have any keys or anything. Like I wouldn't put any of the. Like I wouldn't put my .config/1password folder on GitHub. I would omit that, right? Because one of the things about the way Git works is you can say, okay, I only want to pull these folders and I want to exclude anything that has this extension or blah, blah, blah. So like it should be pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
And I don't think I would do like my Firefox profile, my Firefox config with the cache and all that stuff, or any of those things.
Because those can sync across devices anyway. Like you can easily just be like, hey, what's open on another tab? At least that's what I do.
Yeah. And I think looking at my .config, it's like, well, there's a lot of stuff in here now, but it's like the big stuff is the Neri folder, Alacrity, which has all the presets for my terminal. The .config, I have a .config. That's worrisome. And then other things that are like the applications I use on both machines. So like that don't sync. So things like Mango HUD and Nautilus, which is the file browser, Notion, those kinds of deals. I'd probably sync those over. So anyway, yeah, I'm stoked about this. I think it's gonna be that's I think my project for either next week or maybe over the break, depending on how much next week seems like it might be a little busy.
All right, sweet. Yeah. Well, before we get out of here, let's take a couple questions. If you have any questions, go over to the link down in the description for our Discord, a full nerd Discord, and there is a questions channel in there called DBD_questions. You can put a question in there, and hopefully we'll address it on the next episode. We got one from Max S12. Said, maybe late, but have you tried Photopea in place of Photoshop? They're talking to me. Works close to the same and supports PSD files. I started in 2016 and have not gone back to Adobe since. Well, I mean, I guess I could ask you, have you ever used Photopea?
I have used Photopea.
Okay. Would you, now that you're out of your Adobe lifestyle, would you consider Photopea?
I have not opened Photopea since I dropped my Adobe lifestyle. No. Part of the reason is the stuff that I use Photoshop for is often really complicated PSDs, like PSDs with dozens or hundreds of layers in some cases, because like the thing that generally people do, like if you need to make marketing materials for a game on Steam and Xbox and PlayStation and Switch, the way you do that is you put the core assets in a big giant PSD, and then you make a bazillion different layers that you turn on and off that have each the right shape and size and all that stuff for the millions of different images. Because like, if you look at any kind of game front end, whether it's console or PC, whatever, there are like, I think Steam has like 85 different images you have to upload to Steam before you can push your game on sale. And like some of those are screenshots and videos and stuff like that, like 6 of them. But the rest are different sizes and shapes of the game's logo, the background that goes behind the logo on the library page, what the logo looks like on a phone, what the logo looks like on a Steam Deck, what the logo looks like in the small view, what the logo looks like in the big view, what it looks like in the tiny capsule view. And there's just a bazillion of those. And you make those, like every studio I've ever been at has an enormous Photoshop template that has all of those presets built in, and then you make each one look good, and then you save it and lock it, and you never change it. But that's how you generate all the PNGs that you need for that. So like Photopea does not work in that situation. None of the other tools I've ever tried, including Affinity and all the other things that will open PSDs, can handle that level of complexity in a PSD file, unfortunately.
Well, and not to mention like sharing it across, a studio with other people.
Yeah.
Things. Yeah. I mean, so I get this time and time again. I appreciate the consideration. I do, but I think the problem is for me is twofold. One of them is a personal thing. I've been using Photoshop for so long, and I'm just so comfortable with it that learning something new does take some time, no matter what. Like it can look like Photoshop and have the same features, but it's not going to. The muscle memory of just going in, doing what I need to do, and getting it out is priceless. And I'm not even doing anything that complex. I have no problem admitting that kind of thing. But the other part of it too is that this isn't just me. I'm not just using this personally and having, like doing my photography on the side and things like that. I'm doing this for work. Number one, work pays for Adobe. So this isn't like me trying like you were like, you know what? I'm going to get out of the Adobe license because it's something you have to pay for.
$300 extra now.
Yeah. Through work, we already have this paid for. So like de-Adobe-ifying my life isn't a money thing. It'd be more like a principle thing, I guess. So then I'm a little less inclined to do so. But then also it's not just me on the team, other people on the team. We have a shared library with assets and all that kind of stuff that we sync across, and they use some of the same stuff for Premiere. And then I have all my fonts synced up because we have fonts for all the brands. So Full Nerd, PCWorld, MacWorld, all the brands we work with have dedicated font libraries, all that kind of stuff. So like when you're talking about using something, like it's not just as easy as like, you know what, I'm going to learn Photopea and move on. Like I could take the time to learn to use something, but it's not going to work in the way that I need to, especially in the short term. And like, what's the benefit I'm getting out of it?
Yeah.
Like the benefit would be, once again, more like a principle thing of like getting away from Adobe, because it's not a money thing because I'm not paying for it anyway. And I mean, I guess the other part of it was like, if I'm really trying to use Linux across all my devices, then I guess that's the other thing is like, man, like it would really be nice to get away from Adobe there. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard.
I'm looking at I was trying to find one of the big PSDs for one of the games I worked on. I unfortunately can't find one. I think I might not be on the right repo for that anymore, but I'll try and report back and see what Photopea does. I've always assumed that it would choke, but I never actually tried it. And I'm always hesitant when I'm working on something else and somebody's paying me hourly to do work for them. I don't want to add extra time and extra work for my.
Yeah. All right. I have another question here from friend of the show, Tactical Tug. I guess friend of multiple shows.
Yeah. Friend of all the shows.
Yeah. I'm running Windows on my desktop now and looking to go to Linux as my main OS. Welcome. I'm already running Kubuntu on my old laptop that I purchased from work, but I want something different on my desktop. However, I've got a total of 32 terabytes of storage, around 25 to 26 terabytes of which are used. My most important stuff is on my NAS, but it doesn't fit everything. Bad practice, I know. But so is there a way to nuke Windows and install Linux as the main OS at the same time keep all my files the way they are now? I have no idea which distro I'm going to go for, probably either Fedora Workstation or Bazzite, but recommendations for a general purpose gaming friendly distro are always welcome. So two questions there. One of them is giving recommendations on distro, and then the other one is like what I'm going to assume, they didn't say, but what I'm going to assume is that he has a bunch of drives in there in his desktop that aren't where his main OS drive is installed. I'm going to assume that the OS drive is installed on a different drive, and that you could theoretically just, nuke Windows on that drive and install Linux, and then you still have all those other drives in there for storage. And then I'm also going to assume that those other drives are probably formatted NTFS.
Yeah.
Because he's been using Windows.
So right? NTFS is no problem. You can install the NTFS-3G, which is basically a driver for NTFS for Linux. It's like, I wouldn't use it in a production environment, but for stuff at home, it's pretty good. Make sure you're like, generally speaking, always make sure your data is backed up. But yeah, so what I would do is find a drive that you're not using and clear it all the way off and put it on that drive. Ideally an SSD, I think, because the amount of storage you're talking about, I assume you don't have 8 4 terabyte SSDs in there. I assume you have a couple of big spinning metal hard drives and then a couple of smaller SSDs.
Yeah, or maybe some SATA SSDs or something.
Yeah. But yeah, so I would just to be safe and to be safe. So when you're starting out with Linux, my advice is not to just go whole hog and delete Windows, because it's a pretty, having done this, it's a pretty big jump, and you're going to find stuff that you need Windows for, and it's going to annoy you to the point that you stop doing the Linux thing if you can't just switch back over to when you need to. I mean, that's my advice, I think. They also don't kind of talk about what's on the storage. Like, is it videos for editing, in Premiere? Is it like a server, with a bunch of ripped Blu-ray drives? Like, it's a personal thing. I'm not asking for it, but it's also just like, okay, well, what is it being used for? Like, that's the hard part to necessarily give some recommendations on. If it's like 26 terabytes of Steam library that you can just re-download from Steam, let it rip. Who cares? Right. I mean, I realize everybody has different bandwidth caps and stuff like that. So downloading 25 terabytes worth of stuff from Steam might take 25 months. But yeah. And then in terms of the distro, I quite like Bazzite for people starting out, because it's kind of hard to mess up. You can do the basic stuff. You can get your kind of feet wet, and then it gives you a good, especially if you're using the machine for games, it gives you a good basis to get games working. And then you can decide if you want to keep going and try a different distro at some point after that, I think. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they already have some experience with Kubuntu, which is KDE Ubuntu. I'm going to assume that they want some sort of KDE kind of flavoring. Which you can get in Bazzite. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Which looks nice. I mean, the problem I guess I had with Bazzite is that it very much has a flavor to it. Maybe that's the best word to use. Is that it's like, hey, Bazzite has a lot of decisions already made for you. Well, and if those decisions don't gel with what you're looking for, which they didn't for me, then I was like, I kind of like the more vanilla-ness of Ubuntu or Fedora. I have no experience with Cashy other than what I did earlier this year and messed up. But yeah, I think that's the other thing too. How much, I think the real question is more like a rolling distro or one that's more stable. Because a rolling distro, if you're using this, and you're worried about like things breaking quickly, like I wouldn't recommend something like Arch-based. But yeah, but then on the other side of it, Bazzite, like is every update is already kind of like contained
and like Will said, you can't really mess it up. So I don't know. I like Fedora. I feel like it's a good in between personally, but yeah, but then again, I haven't really done much gaming on it yet, which it is coming. It is coming. I am working on it.
The other one, the other option for if you want something that's Arch based like the Steam Deck, then the other option is like Manjaro or Endeavor. Both of those, I think Manjaro is not a rolling, so it's like a different. Basically, it's a little more structured, and you're a little less likely to get into trouble. The other option is just to learn how to use Snapper, and then it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want, and you just roll back to the snapshot for the one that for the last time it worked.
True. All right, last question, and we will get out of here. Tech Hacker is how I'm going to pronounce it, I guess.
That's the hacker, isn't it?
The Hacker. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're right.
They just can't spell the.
Taha Hacker.
Yeah.
With 4s and 3s. Anyway, have you guys found Linux alternatives for controlling various peripherals? For example, mouse, keyboard, fan control, fancy coolers, yada, yada. I know Will likes his fancy RGB lights, which is true, and was wondering if there was anything on the Linux side to control that. On Windows, I would normally use a peripheral manufacturer software, but in my case, Razer, there's no Linux version. As far as I know, I'm really missing fan control as well. This is a great question. And I mean, something we've definitely hit upon over the course of this journey. I mean, obviously Elgato is one of the big ones. It's like, hey, if you can't get native Elgato support, that really sucks.
Well, the BitFocus companion thing is actually, I'm coming around on it to the point that I might actually switch everything on my Windows side to BitFocus, because it lets you do way more automation and way more smart automation. Like you can do conditionals and stuff like that, even across buttons, in a way that the Steam Deck software just doesn't have a concept for. You can also do things like have both of your like multiple button panels hooked up to one PC and then route one of them through to another PC over the network, which is something that the Steam Deck software also doesn't let you do.
Stream Deck, sorry. The RGB stuff was easy because OpenRGB just works on Linux the same way it does on Windows. Like there's a Linux version of it that's up to date and is quite good. So that wasn't a problem. Fan control has been a butt. Like I miss fan control, and the solution was go into the BIOS and fix the fan curves so they're kind of close to what fan control ends up at. But there's got to be some sort of open source alternative.
There is. There's a thing called.
I wonder if that person who because I think fan control is just a single person, right?
Yeah, Remo I think makes that.
Yeah, I wonder if like it's something that's on the radar.
So there's a fan control system service that's part of Linux that is not the same as fan control. Fan control on Windows, and it's fine, but it was easier. I found it. I just switched to using the BIOS or UEFI.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, luckily, one thing we've noticed through hardware coverage over the past year on the PCWorld side is that more and more companies are switching to web-based UIs or web-based configurators or whatever. And thank goodness. And I think it's a good thing for them. It's a good thing for us, especially on the Linux side. I mean, like even a company like Asus, which I would not have expected them to start going down that path, has gone down that path. Some of their newer keyboards literally just is all configured through a web UI.
That's wonderful.
And it's like, it's awesome. More companies, please do this. It really is like, I think, a win-win for everybody, and especially us Linux people, because hey, you just you do it in your web browser and boom, you don't have to worry about it.
I think the first time I saw that was on that Fractalscape, the headset they released this year. Yeah, that one as well. There are definitely other companies that are doing it, and I appreciate it, and I definitely like it's something I'm going to be talking with vendors at CES of like, hey, is this something on your roadmap to be able to control stuff more through the web UI, especially peripherals? I mean, that is the biggest thing, right? Like fan control, I can get it. That's to a certain degree, but like peripherals, like plugging in your mouse, your keyboard, your headset, like, come on, we can just configure all that stuff through a web browser and then have like local storage profiles, right? Yeah.
Like it definitely the
big fan of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, if you're relying on Razer right now, yeah, that kind of sucks. Hopefully whatever Razer device you're using maybe has like local profiles that you can like configure in Windows, and then it'll save to the device and then load into to Linux. But
I know that Razer stuff, most of the Razer stuff I have works with, because I use one of those Razer fan hubs, or RGB hubs that they sell for the RGB in my system, and it worked with OpenRGB out of the box. But the other, like if you have a Razer, I don't think there's any way to control like my mouse DPI in Linux at all. Which I mean, I set that in Windows 5 years ago, and haven't changed it since. So it's not as much of an issue. But yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Good question. I mean, it's definitely one of those things that hopefully the tide is turning. And it'll help us, because like I don't sit here and expect anytime soon, as much as I love all these people, starting to learn to use Linux, that all of a sudden these companies are all going to be like, hey, you know what, we're going to make Linux native versions of our applications. It's just not going to happen anytime soon.
And here's the thing, I don't want that. I don't want like one of the things I don't like about Windows right now is that when you turn on your Windows 11 computer for the first time, it's like, oh, hey, your motherboard and your mouse and your keyboard all want you to download software. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. That's not how I want to operate. So yeah, let the things use standards and communicate that way. And we don't need to build a bunch of closed bad applications to manage all the hardware in our machines.
True. All right, let's get into homework.
Yeah.
And wrap it up. So yeah, I need to figure out, like you were talking about at the top of the show, you even added it for me. We need to look at the network and firewall stuff on this install, because I will be working out of hotels, and yeah, having that definitely scared me. Being able to see everyone's audio.
Next time you need to play some music for people that leave their stuff open. Okay.
That would be funny.
It would be hilarious.
Oh yeah. Because like the problem was with Discord always popping up.
But you could have put your output to that and then just played whatever you wanted on Spotify. You could play like Chains.
True. Yeah.
You could play.
But I could have done it at system level too. I could have just picked it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to get on that.
Actually, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe I don't want to fix it.
Look, just tell Discord to use it, and then give me a call, and I'll talk to those people.
There you go.
Yeah.
Also, one of the things I've been noticing too, as I've been using Linux more and more, is that the default file browser that is built into Fedora, it was actually pretty similar to Ubuntu. I don't know if there's a name for it or
Nautilus
whatever.
is the one that I think you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's not bad. It's just limiting.
I think it stinks.
Like, I don't have any issues with it. It's limiting what I like to do with certain things, like having a preview pane or being able to sort in specific ways. Also, like when I drag and drop a lot of files, because I'm like moving video files or audio files or photo files over from drive to drive, like it doesn't have like a pop-up the way Windows does. Like if anyone has any recommendations of like, hey, you know what, this is a file browser that is way more feature rich, then please let me know, because I would love to experiment with it. Once again, it's not a pain point, but it is something where I'm like, it's limited. It feels limited. There's got to be something that's more feature rich.
And I want something that like is able. Nautilus can browse network shares. Please don't let me know. But like I want something that is a little less intentional and a little more friendly to just casual browsing, so that I don't have to go in and manually mount like each file share and all that. Like I need it to just work and be easy. That's what I'm looking for stuff on the NAS. So anyway.
Okay. So I mean, other than that, I have a couple long-standing projects that I'm getting to. I'm not going to necessarily put it as homework, but yes, games. I have everything.
Yeah,
and I've actually made some changes on my living room PC that I do most of the gaming on. So I'm not quite there yet.
Okay,
but I have a plan, and I'm excited to enact it. And then just continue with the CES prep stuff. Like I guess it's just a high level homework. What do you got going?
Okay, so I put DCLI on here at the start of the show to figure out the packager that does everything declaratively, I think is what that D stands for. I can't remember, but I'll homework that a little bit. I'm going to change my boot time in Grub to not boot after 5 seconds so that I have to make an active choice every time I boot. I want to figure out the virtual camera on root access thing for OBS. Although I'm a little discomfited by the idea that it might be a Wayland feature, not a bug. And then now I think I have the information I need to actually do the Git syncing. I haven't had a chance to dig into it yet this week, but that's on my task list. And I also would like to find a better file browser. And my guess is that your version of a better file browser and my version of a better file browser may not overlap all that much. Oh, and one more thing. My desktop machine, at some point, I figured out how to change SDDM profiles, which is it's the launcher. It's the thing that you log into on Neri. So like when you pop up and gives you the login screen, mine looks like a potato right now. It looks like it's like a computer from like 1993, and it's kind of sad. And I wish it looked better. And my laptop, I installed some like different themes for SDDM. I went back and looked at the notes. I did not write down how I did that. So I got to go back and recreate that work again. And I'm going to do that over here on the desktop so that I have cool guy themes, because I have Wallhaven wallpapers downloading into Neri now. And like I didn't make the mistake that I made last time. I didn't ask I didn't check I didn't check spicy.
The open web.
Yeah.
Oh man. I remember those days. When you were like, hey, it'd be great to just have, random pictures from the internet show up in my desktop wallpaper.
But it's like, I get the space shuttle and I get, I don't know what else I have right now. It's like a cyberpunky streetscape with a bunch of rain, and like, it's pretty good. I have not had anything that made me embarrassed to be using a computer yet. So,
or have your daughter walk in and be like, Daddy, what are you looking at?
I didn't accidentally have waifu wallpaper when my kid came into the room. So
that's good. That's good.
It's good.
All right. Well, hey, listen, check back next week for your fix of Linux talk here on the Dual Boot Diaries. To subscribe to us, listen to us anywhere that podcasts are available. If you want to take us on the go, if you want to put us in your ears, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Deezer, iHeartRadio, anywhere. Pocket Cast is my favorite specifically. We should be available on every single one of those platforms. If we're not, or if there's some sort of weird syncing issue, somebody pinged me after this previous Full Nerd episode, I guess, didn't go up on
something's
on
jacked
Spotify.
Up. Yeah, we got to work on that after this episode's done.
So I have no idea what's going on there. Anyway, let us know if there is an issue. There is also a video version that we put up over on the Full Nerd Network's YouTube channel. So it's youtube.com/@the-full-nerd-network. And yeah, if you want to listen to Will and I and Brad and Elena talk about PC hardware, then go check out the Full Nerd podcast. We weekly podcast about PC hardware stuff. Also, if you want to hear Will and Brad Shoemaker from Nextlander fame talk about other tech topics, then subscribe over at Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod, techpod.content.town.
Yeah, it's home of fine podcasts is what we say over there.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great
Thanks,
stuff.
Man.
Anyway, we're rapidly approaching the end of the year. We by the time this is up, hopefully the interview with System 76 will be posted, and people can listen to that. We're actually going to film another special interview tomorrow that will probably run over the holiday break. And hopefully we'll also have some plans for an episode while I'm away at CES, because I don't think I'll be able to peel away to do an episode mid-CES.
I mean, that may be when I do the ranking of distros. I'll just sit down and I'll just rank.
Please no.
Stack rank and what is it? The kids like tier lists. So I'll put all the distros in a tier list, and I'm going to attribute you to. I'll come in. I'll introduce myself as Adam Patrick Murray. I'll make sure I post all your socials. Perfect. And that's it. That's the episode. People will love that. I think it'll get a lot of engagement.
Arch F rank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Putting it right out
NixOS F-. And
Ubuntu S.
Yeah. S tier. God tier distro there. Gentoo. S tier.
Yeah. Anyway, Rebecca Black OS
Oh,
S tier.
Super S plus. S plus. Yeah.
SS.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get out of here. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Will.
Thanks, Adam. It was good to talk as always.
Let's keep driving these Tux carts all the way into the sunset.
We should play Tux Kart at some point. I bet it's pretty good.
Yeah, maybe.
It's no Kirby's Air Rider, but you know.
Well, yeah. Anyway, we'll see you later.
Bye.